Vegetarianism linked to values of autonomy and non-conformity. Vegetarians are more rebellious and power-hungry than you think. So you may have seen these headlines over the last few weeks. They're based on this study, Rethinking Vegetarianism, Differences Between Vegetarians and Non-Vegetarians in the Endorsement of Basic Human Values by Professor John Neslick. It's actually 3 different studies, 2 Polish and 1 American, 3,701 participants total, 883 of those vegetarian. Vegetarian includes vegans, mostly women. Unsurprisingly, most vegetarians are women. In all 3, vegetarians, again including vegans, were compared to meat eaters. This includes all meat eaters, those who restrict and those who don't, on basic human values, specifically 10 basic human values, Schwartz's human values. We have benevolence, universalism, conformity, tradition, security, stimulation, self-direction, achievement, hedonism, and power. And these do have specific definitions. I'm not just going to read them all here. I'll go through each one as we go through each value. Figured that's a better way of doing it. Anyway, they tested the participants on these by giving them this questionnaire, this PVQ. It's got, I think they were slightly different for each study. I think the American one was like 57 questions, 57 different items, and the Polish ones were like 19 or something, significantly fewer. But the idea is to ask them how well they identify with a statement. You know, it'll say like, she feels having a stable economy is very important, you know, something like that. And you say, you know, strongly agree to strongly disagree. So yeah, I thought this was a very interesting study. Of course, the headlines are very interesting. So let's get to the results. I'll start with the less important first. So the values that were less important for vegetarians than meat eaters. So first we have benevolence, which seems kind of strange. And this was across all studies. This was less important for vegetarians. And yeah, it seems kind of strange based on how we typically use benevolence, basically a synonym for kind, nice, goodwill towards others, that sort of thing. Benevolence is a little more specific, a lot more specific. Preservation and enhancement of the welfare of people with whom one is in frequent personal contact. So this is kindness towards like family, friends, maybe, you know, coworkers. And it makes sense when you see universalism, understanding, appreciation, tolerance, and protection for the welfare of all people and of nature. So this would be kindness towards everyone, right? Towards people, animals, the environment. So yeah, that's why there is that distinction, which makes sense, right? We know, I mean, I would say a lot of people, maybe most people, are really kind, really benevolent towards those they know and love, and maybe not so much towards animals, but even people, right? People they don't know. There are people who will do anything for those they love and could not give a shit about anyone else. So given this context, benevolence being less important for vegetarians could make some sense, right? We are vegetarian, we don't eat meat precisely because we care about more than just our family, friends, pets. To the point we act on it. We change our lifestyles to reflect these values, to protect animals we don't even know, we'll never know. Security. Security is also less important across all studies. This is safety, harmony, and stability of society, relationships, and self. Again, I think this makes sense given this context. I would say vegetarians often choose their morals over relationships, like not to the point where they're completely cutting off friends and family. I think that's very rare, but I think most won't like just start eating meat again to reduce like social awkwardness or something. Maybe a friend is like annoyed by what you eat and acts defensively sometimes. And sure, eating meat again could reduce that, maybe make the relationship a little bit stronger. But yeah, we're probably not going to do that. Probably not going to eat meat just to smooth out a relationship. Although it certainly does happen, right? And maybe that's the difference between people who stay vegetarian and people who don't. And unfortunately, I don't know the length of time these people were vegetarian. That could make a difference too. Conformity was also less important across all 3 studies. Kind of, the correlation was marginally marginally significant in the US study, so not statistically significant. I've talked about this a little bit. I think in that cat study, I talked about it more. Many statisticians hate this sort of thing, these qualifiers when p-value is greater than 0.05, when a finding is not statistically significant, marginally significant, trending toward significant. What was that one? It was like almost but not quite significant. These are from papers. These are actual things. Many argue these qualifiers don't even make sense given the definition or kind of a definition of p-value. It's all really confusing to me, to be quite honest. But basically, marginally significant is a way to make results that traditionally would be defined as probably chance seem meaningful. And it is very common in psychology. There's actually a whole paper on this. In any event, it does make sense that conformity would be less important for vegetarians, the restraint of actions, inclinations, and impulses that are likely to upset or harm others and violate social expectations or norms. Vegetarianism is rare virtually everywhere, including the US and Poland. By saying no to meat, you are just immediately going against the grain. You are violating social expectations and norms. Someone who really cares about fitting in probably isn't going to give up meat. Tradition was also less important for vegetarians, but again, only in the Polish studies. Respect, commitment, and acceptance of the customs and ideas that traditional culture or religion provides. Again, totally expected. You know, it's pretty hard to care that much about tradition when you are bucking tradition like every time you eat. Now for the traits that were more important for vegetarians. So going into this, I think most of us would think universalism. Again, that's caring for everyone, not just the people close to you. Self-direction, in this case defined as independent thought and action, choosing, creating, and exploring. Independent thought is vital to going vegetarian in the first place, right? If you don't think on your own, you probably aren't going to reach that point, right? You're probably just going to do whatever your parents and your friends do. Interestingly, the study did find these correlations, but not across all studies. So for universalism, this was only more important for the US vegetarians, and for self-direction, this was only more important for the Polish vegetarians, and only statistically significant for one of those studies. So yeah, maybe vegetarians don't care about their family or anyone else. Joking, obviously. The bigger findings here were in stimulation, achievement, and power. And this is where all the headlines are coming from. These were more important for vegetarians across all three studies. So stimulation, excitement, novelty, and challenge in life. I can see this, right? Going vegetarian is novel. It can be a challenge. It can be exciting. You have to be at least somewhat open to change to make such a drastic change. And the author, Professor Neslick, he hypothesized that this would be found, that vegetarians would find stimulation more important. But achievement and power? So we have personal success through demonstrating competence according to social standards and control or dominance over people and resources. I'm not sure what those two things have to do with vegetarianism. Maybe nothing at all. Why does holding traditional and benevolence values reduce the likelihood someone will be a vegetarian? Why does endorsing power values make it more likely someone will be a vegetarian? Although Schwartz's model suggests that values are causes of behaviors such as dietary habit, is this necessarily the case? Perhaps people adopt vegetarian diets and then their values change. Just a little anecdote, and I think I did talk about this in my objectivism video, but a big part of the reason why I moved away from objectivism was because I was vegan. I wasn't vegan just for health. I wasn't like raw vegan anymore. I cared about animals, and objectivism has no place for animal welfare, animal rights. Animals can't reason, so do with them what you will, basically. It's also worth noting that vegetarianism is associated with higher education, and being highly educated is associated with achievement, power, being more interested in those things. Finally, while there are not a whole lot of studies on vegetarianism and values, no other study has come to this conclusion that vegetarians value power and achievement more. In fact, this study found power was associated with meat eating, not vegetarianism. All this to say, I would love to see more research on this. I don't think it's super important work, but it is very interesting to me. And I like to make videos about this stuff. So I personally would love to see more research on this, but I would be shocked if these findings were confirmed, that vegetarians consistently care more about power and achievement. Now, I can imagine anti-vegans, anti-vegetarians saying something like, well, yeah, of course, vegetarians are obsessed with power because it isn't really about the animals, right? They're just obsessed with moral superiority or something like that. But then they'll also say, yeah, vegetarians are weak. They're so emotional. I remember a vegan saying something like that about their health or their looks or whatever, like, people saying, oh, well, you go vegan, you're going to be skinny and lose all your hair. And then it was like, oh, actually, you're going to be fat. Just whatever works for a particular conversation, I guess. Whatever happens to make vegans or vegetarians look worse, then that's what we are. That's what's going to happen. We're weak, emotional libs, but also very powerful and demanding. Anyway, again, we're talking about vegetarians here, which includes vegans, but the author did look at the difference between vegans and vegetarians in the study, only from the US study and one Polish study, because the sample size in the other Polish study was just too small. It was like 11 vegans, whereas vegetarians were oversampled in the other two studies, so they had a good number, like a few hundred in each one. Anyway, no differences were found in the Polish study. In the US study, vegetarians valued universalism, benevolence, and self-direction slightly more, and vegans valued power and conformity slightly more. I don't know what to make of that. Again, probably nothing. Want to be powerful, but you also want to conform to society standards, and you're vegan. What? He also looked at omnivores versus occasional omnivores, so pescatarians, flexitarians, that sort of thing. The big difference across all studies was with universalism. Unsurprisingly, occasional omnivores thought universalism was more important than the regular omnivores did. Yeah, you care enough to reduce your meat consumption, you're probably more likely to care about others, people and animals outside of your circle. But really little difference was found between vegans, vegetarians, and omnivores, occasional omnivores. Although vegans and non-vegan vegetarians may differ in some ways, the fact that they have decided not to eat animal flesh may be a tie that binds them in terms of common values. In parallel, although pescatarians, semi-vegetarians, occasional omnivores, and omnivores may differ in some ways, they all eat flesh of some kind, and this may be a tie that binds them. As I mentioned earlier, the vast majority of the participants were women. Makes sense. The vast majority of vegetarians in general are women. This is very interesting because power, achievement, stimulation, self-direction, these are typically associated with men or masculinity. The present results suggest that vegetarians may not only not be feminized in terms of traditional sex role stereotypes, but in terms of the values of Schwartz's model interpreted in terms of gender role stereotypes, vegetarians may be more masculinized than meat eaters. Maybe omnivores are just too weak to give up meat. They're not up for a challenge. They're too obsessed with security, conformity, tradition. I'm joking, but not, kind of not. I've said before with the masculinity thing, these supposedly tough men who are seemingly so afraid to eat beans. I don't know, man, is that masculine? If your chief concern is beans are gay, oh, sweetie. And now for something fun. I found this PVQ test. It's Portrait Values Questionnaire. So similar to what the participants took. I'm sure it's not the exact thing. In fact, this is 40 questions, I think, 40 statements. But supposedly it is based on Schwartz's Portrait Values Questionnaire, and it's free. Doesn't ask for an email address or anything. Thinking up new ideas and being creative is important to her. She likes to do things in her own original way. And so again, you say not like me at all, very much like me. I definitely like to do things in my own way. That is true. Some of these are going to be so hard. I know it. I'm going to overthink these. She thinks it is important that every person in the world be treated equally. She believes everyone should have equal opportunities in life. That's an easy one. Very important to show her abilities. She wants people to admire what she does. How do you answer this? It's nice, I guess, but I don't think about that. So if it's nice, well, it says very important. So no. It's important to her to live in secure surroundings. She avoids anything that might endanger her safety. I mean, I drive a car. I have children. I don't want to do dangerous things. They're not talking about driving a car. right? They're talking about like rock climbing and shit. That's a security question, obviously. She believes people should do what they're told. She thinks people should follow rules at all times, even when no one is watching. See, this is a hard one. If it's a good rule, yeah. If it's a bad rule, no. Although even still, you know, depending on what the consequences are, it could make sense to follow that rule, even if it's kind of dumb. She thinks it's important not to ask for more than what you have. She believes that people should be satisfied with what they have. See, oh my God, this is too hard. I'm only on 9. It depends on what you have. Pretty much all of these are going to be somewhat like me. She seeks every chance she can to have fun. It's important for her to do things that give her pleasure. Well, yeah, see, those two, yes, it's important for me to do things I like to do. Yes, but I seek every chance to have fun? No, what? Who does that? Very important, country safe. She thinks the state, okay, so security. The state must be on watch against threats from within and without. I mean, yes, I want the country to be safe, but like the second one seems more like paranoid. She likes to take risks. Nah, bro. Important to be in charge and tell others what to do. Oh, okay, this is hard. I will admit, I do enjoy when people listen to what I say. Yes, very much like me. So that's power. Fuck. Make things organized and clean. She really does not like things to be a mess. I've gotten a lot more lax about that since having children. Obviously, it's not that important. I mean, my desk right now. And my kids are not down here. This is just all me. So, clearly it's not like me. She believes all the world's people should live in harmony. Aw, promoting peace among all groups in the world is important. Yes, of course. Who would say no? Who gives a shit? She believes she should always show respect to her parents and to older people. It is important to be obedient. Sorry, Dad. She likes surprises. It's important to have an exciting life. Stimulation. No, I do not like surprises. They are very annoying. Getting ahead in life is important to her. No. She really wants to enjoy life. Having a good time is very important to her. I mean, who doesn't want to enjoy life? But like, I know what they're asking. Do you know what I mean? It is important to her to be humble and modest. She tries not to draw attention to herself. Do I? It's important to her to adapt to nature and to fit into it. She believes that people should not change nature. See, caring about nature is not, it's not like conservation, right? That's what they're talking about. And that's not what I'm talking about. I'm going to say not like me at all. Oh man, I've just confused the whole thing. The scores from 1, low manifestation, to 6, high manifestation. Stimulation, 1. Achievement, 1. I don't have any 6s. Universalism is 5. All right. Oh, self-direction, 5. Almost 6. 5.75. 4, we have benevolence and power. What? Look, I just want to be an all-powerful, all-benevolent being. Security, 3.8. Okay, yeah. Hedonism, 2.6. I do like my video games. I do like my nail polish. How much of that has anything to do with vegetarianism? Oh, and now they ask for your name. And if you want to submit the test, submit it to what? Am I going to get graded? Is someone going to review it? Tell me I'm weird? Rupert Pumpkin. Success! We've received your submission. Thank you for taking the test. Okay. You're welcome. I don't know if the mic picked that up, but my almost 3-year-old just screamed, I peed! For potty training. It's fun. Anyway, I just wanted to talk about it. I saw the headlines and I went, really? And then I read the study and I went, yeah, I guess so. It was interesting. So yeah, I made a video about it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I would love to know your thoughts. I would love to know your thoughts if you decided to take this dumb little questionnaire. How'd you score? Did you beat it? Did you win? Please do like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. And of course, thank you so much to everyone who supports the channel, everyone on YouTube, all my members on YouTube, and my patrons at patreon.com/unnaturalvegan. I do post 2 exclusive videos a month for tier 2 members and patrons. I do a vlog, and then I also do a controversial topic towards the end of the month. That's it for me. Thank you so much, guys. New video soon.